Hello, my name is Niels Heuzekveld. I work on Street Kart on the physics, and we try to do it very realistically. And basically there are two aspects of the realism. One is when you're driving, how the kart feels when it's sliding and how it handles, but also the realistic aspect of owning each kart and maintaining it to be in the good condition. So for example, we have lots and lots of different chassis that you can drive, and each chassis is unique. And that means if a chassis has 32mm tubes, we will have a higher stiffness of the frame than a chassis that has 30mm tubes. And also the karts, they wear a bit, so as time progresses, the performance loses just the slight edge, and you can do a service on the kart, oil everything and disassemble it and check everything and tighten it up, and then it has its original performance again. And another aspect is, of course, the engines. We've got lots of different engines to choose from, all with the real data and official torque curves and power figures and everything like that. But also they wear out, and it's something you can decide on a bit yourself, because depending on the gearing, you pull higher revolutions on certain tracks, and the more you stress the engine, the sooner it will wear. So you can do a trade-off, not only from a performance point of view, because the gearing will change how fast your kart accelerates versus its maximum speed, but it will also affect how fast it wears and how soon you'll have to rebuild the engine. So that's quite neat. And of course there are lots of different tires we have, and they differ from a handling point of view because the different compounds have different grip levels, which is a bit more complex. It's not just that a soft tire has more grip, but the grip versus the tire load characteristics are actually different. So it's quite a subtle thing. We use the Pacheca tire model, and which is quite complex, but we've made complex tools for it, so I can actually have a very good idea of how a soft compound versus a hard compound behaves, and the cornering stiffness, all sorts of complex stuff differs from tire to tire, enabling us to really make each tire unique, just as we make each chassis and each engine unique. And the tires, they wear, of course, so as you're driving, we constantly look at the slip angle of the tire and decide, well, you're sliding it a lot now, and that will make it wear out sooner. So that's something that's always happening as you're driving. But if you leave your tires or your kart unused for a long time, and you come back to the game after a while, because the tires have just been sitting there in the garage, they will have lost just a tiny bit of performance. So that's something, the owning aspect of all the karts and the parts we really want to build into to the game. And finally, on top of that, we have to actually look at the weather at the circuit you're driving on. So depending if your circuit is based in England, it may be a very cold day. We'll actually use those temperature and humidity and air pressure information that we get a live readout from the actual conditions, and we'll apply that to the physics, and we'll say, well, now it's quite cold, which will make the air denser, and actually get more air resistance. The kart will have more aerodynamic drag, but compensating for that, the engine power will be quite a bit higher if it's cold. But perhaps you're at a very high altitude, somewhere in the mountains, and the air pressure is lower, which will lower your aerodynamic drag, but also lower your engine performance, and that creates subtle handling differences and feel differences. So each time you drive a kart in Street Kart, it'll be just a little bit different, and if you're clever, you can set the kart up a bit differently, and to get the maximum performance for the conditions. Temperature also affects the tire behavior. So if it's really hot, then perhaps using the softest compound and sliding it quite a bit may overheat the tire, and it won't work quite as well. So you have to look at the ambient temperature, and if it's cold somewhere, you might be able to get away with a different compound that you usually cannot run when it is a bit warmer. So those types of things really are quite unique, and make every time you play the game, make it different and unique. And it's up to you to be as clever as possible and getting the best performance from the cards. So that's from the physics point of view, and I hope you will enjoy Street Kart as much as we did making it.